In the skies of World War II, dominance meant survival, and survival meant innovation. Germany, once the master of aviation engineering, was now cornered, desperate, and running out of time. By 1943, Allied bombers were tearing the industrial heart of the Reich apart. The Luftwaffe was losing aircraft faster than they could be replaced. Fuel reserves were collapsing. Pilot training had been cut from months to mere weeks. Germany needed a miracle, and they found it in a weapon that looked like it had fallen from another planet. The story begins not in war, but in the dreams of a visionary, a man named Alexander Lippisch, a pioneer who believed aircraft should not fight the air, but flow with it. Lippisch envisioned a tailless delta-wing rocket aircraft long before anyone believed it could fly. He imagined speeds no propeller could achieve, climbs no piston engine could survive, a world where aircraft were powered not by fuel, but by chemistry. By the late 1930s, Germany's aviation industry was racing forward. The idea of a rocket-powered fighter caught the attention of the Reich Air Ministry. The secret Project X began. Tests with gliders proved Lippisch's designs were stable. But rocket engines were something else entirely. They were unpredictable, volatile, prone to catastrophic explosions. But they produced something no aircraft had ever experienced before: pure thrust. The race for the world's first rocket plane had begun. To power the rocket aircraft, engineers created two hyper-aggressive fuels: T-Stoff, highly concentrated hydrogen peroxide, 80 to 85%; C-Stoff, a hydrazine-methanol mixture. Separately, they were dangerous. Together, they were apocalyptic. T-Stoff could dissolve human skin in seconds. C-Stoff could ignite on contact with almost any substance. If they accidentally mixed outside the engine, preparing a Comet was a ritual of fear. Ground crews wore special rubber suits. Fuel trucks stayed far apart. Even a drop of sweat falling into T-Stoff could create a deadly reaction. Many crewmen kept their wills in their pockets. It wasn't just a fighter, it was a flying chemical bomb. The first test pilots were men with steady nerves and short life expectancy. They were told that we do not guarantee your safety. One pilot, Heini Dittmar, became the first man to exceed 1,000 kilometers per hour. At that speed, he reported the controls shuddering violently. He nearly lost control, but he landed safely that time. Not all flights ended well. If a drop of T-Stoff leaked, the pilot's legs could dissolve where he sat. If the pressurization valve jammed, the aircraft could self-destruct. If the landing skid failed, the fuel tanks could rupture during landing and consume the cockpit in seconds. Pilots knew that one mistake meant an unrecognizable death. Only one unit ever flew the ME-163 in combat, Jagdgeschwader 400, a squadron of volunteers, men who believed in the mission or believed they had nothing left to lose. July 1944. A formation of Allied B-17s approached Leipzig. A single Komet launched. It roared upward at nearly 4,000 feet per minute. The pilots reported, "A blur of flame, too fast to track." The Comet sliced through the bomber formation and disappeared. Its attack window? Less than 3 seconds. As the Allies pushed into Germany in early 1945, rumors spread of a rocket plane hidden in the woods. American tank divisions encountered abandoned airstrips, strange shapes, helmets, crashed comets buried in craters. Brandis Airfield, April 1945. Here, under camouflage nets, the U.S. Army found intact ME-163s. For the first time, Americans saw the Comet up close. Its small size, its swept delta wings, its burn marks. But what shocked them most was the fuel system. German personnel warned the Americans. German mechanic translated, "Do not touch the fuel valves. One drop will burn through your glove, your hand, the table, and the floor." U.S. engineers realized this aircraft would have killed more American pilots than German ones, simply during fueling. Captured Comets were shipped to Wright Field, Dayton, Ohio. Here, the U.S. Air Force studied every bolt, every valve, every wire. One fact became immediately clear: no American crew was willing to fuel it with T-Stoff and C-Stoff. So the United States tested the Komet as an unpowered glider. Even then, Its aerodynamic performance was astonishing. Engineers admitted, the airframe was years ahead of anything we built. It was the fastest aircraft of World War II. It climbed faster than any interceptor until the 1950s. Its design influenced generations of delta-wing aircraft. But speed alone cannot win a war. The Komet had only 3 minutes of powered flight. Its armament was unstable. Pilots could barely aim at bombers during the supersonic pass. Returning to base, Komets often crashed on landing. Dozens of pilots died, with no enemy present. The Allies learned that pushing technology too far, too fast, comes with terrible cost. Rocket fuel chemistry was studied in depth. Emergency escape protocols were rewritten worldwide. Aviation engineers adopted delta wings in future fighters. Only about 30 German pilots ever flew the ME-163. Many did not survive. They were not fanatics. They were young men sent into an aircraft their own ground crews feared to touch. They climbed into it anyway. The ME-163 Komet remains the most dangerous aircraft ever created, not because of its speed, not because of its firepower, but because it killed the men who trusted it. When U.S. forces captured the Komet and learned its secrets, they understood something fundamental. Technology without safety is not innovation. It is suicide. The Komet was a machine decades ahead of its time and decades away from being safe. It was the future, delivered too early, and it changed aviation forever.